In this video, we're going to talk about solving equations that have absolute values. Alright, so the important thing to remember with an absolute value is that they're going to get rid of a negative sign. So the absolute value of 3 is equal to 3, but also the absolute value of negative 3 is equal to 3. So if we want to solve, keeping that last slide in mind, if we want the absolute value of x to be 3, we just saw there's two different things that I can take the absolute value of and get 3. So the answer to this equation is x is 3, or x could be negative 3. And this is going to motivate how we solve absolute value equations, because if the inside is exactly equal to the other side, that's one answer. But if the inside is the other side, which is the minus sign, well, the absolute value would get rid of it, and that's still going to be an answer. So really I have two different possibilities whenever I'm working with absolute values. All right, that's said here in our strategy. First thing, get the absolute value by itself. That's going to happen for you in most of these problems to start off. But then once you get that absolute value by itself, you're going to split it into two separate equations using the positive and negative version. All right, and then solve each new equation that no longer has absolute values. All right, so let's see what I mean. The absolute value of x minus 5 equals 8. That first step is to get the absolute values by itself, already done for us. But we know if x minus 5 were equal to 8, this inside would be 8, the absolute value would take, and I'd get an equal sign. That's good. I could also have x minus 5 be the negative 8, because if this whole inside was negative 8, then the absolute values would get rid of the negative, and the equal sign would still be true. So this is what I mean by breaking it up into two separate equations. You take the inside and set it equal to 8, and you take the inside and set it equal to the negative of that version. All right, in this case, I just add 5 and add 5. All right, to get my two answers. So a lot of times with these absolute value problems, you're going to get two separate answers. All right, another example, nothing's going to change. The first step would be to get the absolute value by itself, doing that for you for these first few problems. But the absolute value is by itself. I can take the inside and set it exactly equal to 2, because if this is 2, the absolute value is 2. Or that thing inside the absolute value could be negative 2, because then the absolute value would take care of that negative. Here I subtract 4. Here I subtract 4. And I get these two different answers that work. If I put in negative 2 plus 4 is 2. The absolute value is 2. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2, but the absolute value is still positive 2. All right, so here's one for you to try on your own. I go ahead and attempt it. I'll show you the answer in 3, 2, 1. And it's not a lot to write, so I'm not even going to pause the video to write out the answer. Just separate it into the positive and the negative one. Add 7. Add 7. All right, so in solving an absolute value equation, you're going to split it into two separate possible answers. You can equal the positive version or the negative version. In order to do this, you're going to get the absolute value alone first. That's going to be done for you for most of these problems. All right, but that's something we'll focus on in the future.